Today marks the return of the most popular deck I have ever featured on this channel. I present to you Mono White Prison, a deck that discourages fun, at least for your opposition. Our last build of this deck featured the 2-mana enchantment Suppression Field, which can grind an opponent's momentum to a halt by mandating an extra 2 mana spent on activated abilities. And today we're taxing them more with the addition of Ghostly Prison to the list, a 3-mana white enchantment that requires a 2-mana debt be paid every time a creature wants to attack. And of course, we're attacking their lands with Demolition Field, Field of Ruin, and Ghost Quarter. And you know I had to with a fun of one of Crucible of Worlds to recur those lands over and over again. Because today's league was so grindy, we're going to feature the games that showcase the power of the prison in today's video. Otherwise, you might be here for a while. Let's jump into our second match against Blue-Red Murktide to kick things off. We are jumping in second match. On the play, this does the thing, we'll keep it. Opponent keeps a 6-card hand, we'll lead on a basic plains. Spirebluff Canal, Dragon's Rage Channeler. Drew into an Amiria's Call. I think we're going to start with our Suppression Field, try to cut them off of fetch lands here. Back the other way. Opponent has the fetch land, can't crack it. Not going to work. Attack for 1, down 19. Drew into a Skyclave, which is actually pretty good here. So I think we'll lead Plains into our Skyclave, beat the Dragon's Rage, cut them off of filling up that graveyard. Unholy Heat, end of turn, they get an illusion. Second Spire Bluff from the opponent, attack for 1, we're at 18. Bobble, it's going to cost 2 to activate that, nothing else. Drew into a March, start with our farm hand, it's going to trigger, get ourselves a Plains, play that out, follow it up with a Wall of Omens. It's going to trigger, draw another card. And it's going to pay 2 mana to crack their Bobble, end of turn. Look at our top card, they'll get to draw a card during the upkeep. There's the trigger, 2 mana for a Ledger Shredder. Back our way, drew another land. The game grinds on for the next few turns as I hit my land drops and attempt to cast out a Ghostly Prison and a Myria, which are both met by counterspells. My opponent sticks a Ragavan and a Ledger Shredder, but with my Wall of Omens in the way and no counters on the Shredder, their creatures don't pose much of a threat. But the game opens up when I reprieve a Murktide Regent and top deck this fancy little land. When it draws a card off their Bobble, draw into another Wall of Omens. We'll start there, play it out, draw an Ephemerate. We'll play out our Amiria, and we'll pass turn back. When an Unholy Heat targeting our Wall of Omens, we're going to allow that. We can just bring it back next turn. Okay, Murktide's back. Shredder triggers, connives, 2 cards in the graveyard. Discard Otawara. Opponent attacks for 4. We'll block. Take 2 and tap. Amiria triggers. Throw our Wall of Omens into play. Wall of Omens triggers. Found a Solitude. That's what we were looking for. Found a Crucible as well. Let's play out our Crucible. Come with a counterspell. I believe that's their last counterspell. We're going to cast a Solitude. Shredder's going to trigger. Discard a Dragon's Rage. Solitude. Exile the Murktide. Opponent's going to bolt, targeting the Solitude. Ledger Shredder's going to trigger. Consider to the graveyard. Let's Ephemerate. Get rid of the Shredder. Back the other way. Opponent scoops, we're up a game. We dominated game 2 by leveraging our sideboard cards, particularly Sanctifier and Vec, by cutting off their graveyard synergies, while taxing their attacks and slowing their tempo with the resolved Ghostly Prison. Eventually they ran out of counterspells and got run over. At this point in the league, I was 1-1 and then got paired against Mono Green Tron, which was one of the craziest matches I've played in a long time. Let's jump into game 1, which you got a sneak peek of during the intro of today's video. Turn to a Crucible. Oh, that is brutal. I think I'm just going to play out this Ghost Quarter. Pass turn. Opponent with their second Tron land. Back our way. We draw to an Elishnorn. We're going to play out the Plains for now. Back their way. No Tron for them. That is unfortunate. Turn to a Skyclave Apparition. We're going to play out this Field of Ruin. And during the draw step, we're going to Field of Ruin one of these Tron lands. Get ourselves a basic Plains. Opponent with an Ancient Stirrings. Reveal another power plant and a Chromatic Sphere. Back our way. We draw into a March. We're going to discard an Ephemerate. Draw step, we're going to Ghost Quarter another power plant. Opponent adds a mana, gets another Forest. 3 mana Oblivion Stone. We'll reprieve this just to draw a card. Draw into a Wall of Omens. Alright, drew into another Field of Ruin. I think that's pretty good. We'll play out our Crucible. Our opponent scoops. We're up a game. In game 2, the Tron player did Tron things, but I'd much rather fast forward to game 3 because it was an insane grind. This is the kind of battle that you came here to see. Into our Suppression Field. Opponent with a Besage You, Chromatic Star, add a green, another chromatic sphere. Back to us. Drew into a plains. Play out our land. We'll play out a Wall of Omens. Trigger. Drew into another land. Pass turn. Draw land number 2. Opponent cracks their sphere. Casts a relic. Casts another map. We drew another plains. We'll play out our farmhand. Trigger. Find a plains. Play a plains. Pass turn. Opponent naturally draws into their Tron. 3 mana Gigantha into hand. Back our way, we draw into a March. Play out our Field of Ruin. We'll start with an attack for 1. End of turn, my opponent does nothing. Opponent starts with a star. Cracks the star. Haywire Might into a Gigantha. We're going to reprieve that. End of turn, we're going to get rid of one of these maps. Alright, we have nothing but lands in hand. Play out a land. Pass turn. Ancient Stirrings from our opponent. Find themselves a Karn the Great Creator. Karn enters play. Minus Karn. Pithing Needle. We're going to respond to that. We're going to hit the power plant. Plains into play. Opponent names Ghost Quarter. We only have 1 Ghost Quarter in the deck, so that's fine. We draw into a March, so we can actually hit this Haywire Might. We can also hit the other map. I think we hit the other map. Play out a Demolition Field. Hit down the mine. Another land into play. And we're going to attack into Karn. Okay. Opponent blocks. Opponent taps 3. Activates their relic. Plays out another relic. Back our way. We draw into a Solitude. Play out a land. Pass it back. Sylvan Scrying from our opponent. Find themselves a power plant. No Karn activation. Interesting. We're going to play out a Solitude. An attack with the Solitude takes care of Karn, but to my dismay, my opponent draws their missing Tron land along with an Ulamog, exiling 2 of my creatures. I find Elesh Norn on my turn, which along with the Emeria in play, can return my Wall of Omens, which is on Ulamog blocking duty. The wall returns, triggers twice, and finds the Solitude I so desperately needed to remove Ulamog and a newly cast Gigantha. Clutch. But now the clock is on as Ulamog exiled 20 cards from my already thinning deck. Can we get there? Put him with a Karn. We'll let that happen. Activate the Karn, see what they get. Get themselves an Ensnaring Bridge. We're just going to reprieve this. Try to find another card. March will do it. Play the bridge. March the bridge, end of turn. Untap. Draw into a Demolition Field, not bad. Solitude the Karn, attack them. Play Demolition Field. Opponent untaps. We're going to Demolition Field down the mine. Plains out of the deck. Opponent has another mine. Nothing else. Attack for 7. We have no more lands in the deck. No more basic lands in the deck. Draw into an Apparition. Attack the team. Opponent's down 7. 1 more turn of attacks. Opponent with Sylvan Scrying. Get a Beseiju. Beseiju down the Stony Silence. Activate the ring, they'll draw a card. They find a Wormcoil Engine. That's a good one, and an Expedition map. During this game, it felt like every time I got my opponent into lethal range, they would play a threat that mandated a Solitude, which would once again put them just out of reach from the kill shot. This song and dance is getting old. Ugh. Draw 2 with the ring, another Karn, get themselves a Metamorph. Cast the Metamorph, target Elesh Norn. That could be problematic. Cast another ring. Attack into Karn to start with. Karn dies. Cast the Leonin. Pass turn. Blast Zone into play. Back our way. We find another Elesh Norn. Okay, Blast Zone takes out Pithing Needle, whose stone is going to blow up everything. Strange timing. Opponent gets a 5/5 back. Another Elesh Norn. Pass turn. What a crazy game. Opponent with another O-Stone. Ancient Stirrings. Doesn't reveal anything, apparently. Play out a land. Emeria, bring back a Solitude. And then Emeria, bring back Skyclave Apparition. Opponent's going to blow the O-Stone. O-Stone down. Apparition's going to eat the ring. Solitude back in play. It's not going to hit anything. Draw for turn. Pass turn. Opponent with a Wormcoil. And a Relic. Relic is problematic. Into a Sphere. Into another land. March the Wormcoil. Attack for 3. We have enough turns to kill our opponent. Opponent with a star. Crack the star. Draw a card. Sylvan Scrying. Find a land. Got themselves another power plant. Untap. Draw a Mana Tithe. Pretty funny at this point. Attack with the team. Yield through the turn. Opponent's going down to 6. 3 mana for a map. Untap. Opponent's down to 1. Cast a Suppression Field. Pass the turn. Opponent with Ancient Stirrings. This is crazy. They find a ring, and that's actually going to win the game. We're going to Mana Tithe it. They get protection from the ring. See if they draw a card. If they do, they lose. They didn't draw a card. Smart. Drew an Apparition. Apparition will eat the map. Back to my opponent. Ring triggers. Back to me. I have no cards left in my library. What a crazy game. Crazy, crazy game. We'll draw. We lose the game. That was insane. And for the final match of our league, we got paired against what many regard as the best deck in the format. I wanted to showcase this match in particular because it shows off my favorite card in the deck, Ghostly Prison. Nothing else. We draw into a suppression field. So I think we're going to play out our demolition field here, and we're going to keep up our reprieves in the early turns. 2 mana my opponent with a Bowmaster. Reprieve definitely gets worse if we let this resolve, so we'll use this now. Drew into another suppression field. Might be fodder for a Solitude. Blood Crypt Shock, back our way. Drew a Plains, we'll play that out. Opponent with a Bowmaster, we will reprieve it once more. Drew a Crucible. Blue Delta from our opponent, that would be it. And we drew another Plains. I think we're going to take this turn to cast our Prison. Opponent fetches in response. Basic Swamp, Orcish Bowmasters. We'll take one going down to 19. And a second Bowmaster, and we'll go down to 18. Opponent plays a land tapped. Not going to be able to attack with all of those. There you go. Opponent attacks him with 2 creatures. Take a hit for 3. Back to us. We drew another land. So I think we're going to start with our farmhand. Farmhand triggers. Get a Plains. Play out a Plains. And we're going to follow that up with a Crucible. Opponent attacks him with their Bowmaster, representing an Undying spell. We'll take one. Cast it a Fable. Back our way. Draw into a March. March isn't bad. We're going to Demolition Field one of these Blood Crypts. Find ourselves a basic. Play out the Demolition Field. We'll dump down another one of these Blood Crypts. Another basic. And we're going to march down this Goblin Shaman here and now. No attacks. Fable's going to trigger. They're going to discard 2 Undying spells. Out the Voidwalker. Terminate the farmhand. Won't be any attacks from that side of the field. Draw into an Emeria. We'll play out Demolition Field. And I could cast Emeria here. No, I think we're going to hold off on that until we get rid of this Voidwalker. I think we're just going to play out one of our suppression fields. Fable Exiled comes back. It's going to cost a lot of mana to activate that one. Opponent moves to combat, swings for 3, pays the mana. Well, no blocks. Then turn we'll cast out Solitude, exile the Voidwalker, untap. Drew another land. Start by Demolition Field down Blackleaf Cliffs, get a land. We're going to crack for 3. Opponent with a Bowmaster, ping the Solitude. Block with a 3/3, play out our Emeria, play out another suppression field, pass the turn. Trying to activate the Reflection, not going to have enough mana to do so. Opponent's moving to combat, attacking for 3, they're going to tap down all their lands to do so. We'll take a hit for 4, move back our way. Emeria is going to trigger during our upkeep. Bring back our Solitude, exile the Reflection, draw into a Reprieve, play out a Demolition Field, field down a land, find another Plains, pass turn back. And they decided that they had had enough. We wound up finishing with a 2-3 record in this league, but it seemed to me that with some tuning, this list could have some promise. Check out the deck list pinned in the comments and let me know what you'd change. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you all again very soon. You know the deal. Be well.